Folks, we're back. All Things Brewers is here. We're going to talk about the Freddy Peralta trade. It happened. If you didn't see the last video, go check it out. We were going over what a Peralta trade could end up looking like. I'm going to give you a second to go check it out. Before I tell you, spoiler alert, kind of nailed it. Kind of nailed it. Don't want to say I called it. Don't want to say that I should be hired by the Brewers front office. What I will say is Brandon Sproat being a Brewer, not a shock to me. Not a shock to me. Let's get into it though. Full details of the trade. New York Mets get 1 year of Freddy Peralta at $8 million and 5 years, I believe, of Tobias Myers for Jett Williams and Brandon Sproat, two of their top prospects, I think. Two top five in their system, at the very least. And I know the trade was a couple days ago. I wanted to wait because I knew that the MLB pipeline, like the updated prospect rankings, were going to be coming out, and they came out yesterday. So we can kind of look at things as like in their current standing, how these guys are looked at as prospects by the league, what to expect from them, and overall, it's really sad to see Freddie go. I think that Freddie being traded definitely feels like it lowers the ceiling for the 2026 Brewers. And however you want to view it, it's a bummer. Like, would you like to see your team keep its best players? Yeah, but I think anybody who follows this team, any of the four sickos who watch enough baseball and care enough about the Brewers are going to watch this video. We knew this was coming, and maybe it's just like coping, but I think we made our peace with it, and at least on paper as of right now, I'm kind of happy about the return, and so I guess let's just get into it. The headliner of the deal is Jett Williams, who's a guy that I did not talk about in my What Could a Freddy Peralta Trade video about a week ago. I didn't think Jett Williams was going to be included in the trade, and honestly, in hindsight, huge miss on my part. Huge miss. This guy, like, screams Brewer. He just is like, he's so Brewersy that it is almost too good of a fit. Jett Williams is a utility infielder, and in the updated prospect rankings from MLB Pipeline, he was ranked number 51 in all of baseball. He's 22 years old, and he's a little guy. He's just a little guy. He's 5'7", 5'7", and I honestly, he's probably going to end up playing middle infield. The Mets, because they have Francisco Lindor, they just brought in Marcus Semien and Bo Bichette, so they've got hella middle infielders. Like Williams wasn't really going to factor into the major league team, even though he's flirted with some outfield in the minors. They've played him in center. He's definitely got the legs to play center, but he's primarily a shortstop, second baseman that should provide like decent defensive value. Could definitely stick at shortstop in the big leagues. Sorry. Could definitely stick at shortstop. That's likely where the Brewers are looking for him to slot in. Joey Ortiz's bat, which was solid in 2024, was completely absent in 2025. And as good of defense as he played at shortstop, he was a complete nothing at bat in the postseason for the most part, and just was like not a factor offensively. Jett Williams figures to be a better hitter than Ortiz, if nothing else, and so there's some competition. If Ortiz can become 2024 Joey Ortiz and provide some kind of offensive value, then Williams is, if nothing else, like a solid utility guy to start off with. He can play second, can play third, can, like I said, slot into the outfield. If we get another Garrett Mitchell injury, is there a chance that Jett Williams could play center and Ortiz maintains his spot at shortstop? Yes. There's definitely a chance that becomes like a possibility. I don't know if I expect Williams to start the season in the majors. I think this could be a very similar situation to what we saw to Caleb Durbin last year. When Durbin came over in the Williams trade, he was even a little bit more seasoned as far as like AAA at bats than Williams is right now. He only got let me get this right. He only got 34 games at AAA last year, which is like it's decent, but it's not, you know, he's not like a guy that's seen a ton of upper minors pitching. He absolutely crushed in 96 games at AA last year. Like absolutely crushed. He had an 867 OPS. Sorry, I'm a grown adult. He had an 867 OPS in AA last year. He hit 10 homers, which is a little, like interesting over that span, but 62 walks to 96 strikeouts, so kind of like a decent little strikeout to walk rate. He will walk. Like this is a guy who will take his walks. Might not make the most contact, but he will take his walks. He stole 32 bags in AA last year. Only had 2 stolen bases though in his 34 games at AAA. Hit 209 with a sub 300 OBP. Just really was a bit overmatched. But again, 34 games is a pretty small sample size. AA to AAA is a huge jump as far as pitching talent. So, there's a reason that Jett Williams isn't, a top prospect, and it's because, you haven't seen him do it in AAA. But there's reason to be excited about who Jett Williams is as a player. He's a guy that seemingly has a pretty solid floor. He's gonna run really well. He's quick, like sprint speeds over 30 feet per second. He's fast. He steals bases. He is a smart base runner and should play good defense. Has a good arm, like definitely a shortstop arm, a center field arm. Like he has the arm to stick at those positions, and he has the defensive chops to play those positions well. The offensive profile here is very interesting. Think as far as purely like while in the batter's box, think like Isaac Paredes almost. Now he's a much different base runner and defender than Paredes is, but like he's a smaller guy who doesn't have a lot of raw pop, but really finds a way to pull the ball in the air and kind of maximize his frame power wise. Like I said, he's not a guy that makes a ton of contact. Pipeline gives him a 50 on his hit tool. I think that's a little generous, I'll say. He's a guy that swings and misses a bit and, doesn't. He has a good eye. He takes pitches, and like I said, he will walk, but he will also swing and miss. Like there's going to be some strikeouts. There's going to be some 3 true outcomey, outcominess to his game, but he will hit homers. They just won't be mammoth 114 miles off the bat into left center field, like gone no doubters. Like he's gonna leak some fly balls over the fence, and it's like the power will play. The power will definitely play. He's got more pop than a Caleb Durbin, than a Joey Ortiz, but it's definitely gonna have to be tailored to like specific swings. He's gonna have to pull the ball. He's gonna have to hit the ball in the air to have any value power wise. But he's also got the speed. If he's not able to lift the ball, if he's keeping it low, if he's driving it, he's got the speed to stretch singles into doubles, to turn infield hits into singles. Like he's a very Brewers player, and could definitely provide some very solid value. I don't expect him to start in the majors. Like I said, I think Durbin came up sometime in May, I want to say, of last year, like consistently. I think that's probably the timeline that we can expect to see Jett. I think he'll be given a chance in spring training to compete for the job. Like I really do think that they'll give him a shot if he does well in spring training. If he plays the field well, if he has good at bats, he could crack the opening day roster, but I think it's more likely that we see him a month or two into the season, maybe closer to the summer. But a very interesting prospect, honestly, like a very interesting profile on Jett Williams, a guy who's not big but is super fast and will hit for some power. Like it's not often that you see a guy who's 5'7" that is like a 3 true outcomey type player. but that's kind of what he is. And honestly, it's very interesting that the Brewers managed to find a guy who fits their exact profile as far as like plays good defense, is fast, is small, but is gonna lean into the pop a little bit more. You know, like he's not Durbin, he's not Frelick, he's not Ortiz. Like he looks like those guys, but he plays baseball very differently. And I think that that's good for this lineup. This lineup could use some more pop. Like Williams could hit 20 homers in a full season. He might do it in a strange way, but he could be like a 20-25 homer, even like a 30 homer guy if the hit tool, if he's able to make enough contact, he will hit for power. Is what I'm trying to say. And I think it's very interesting that while he does very much fit the Brewers mold, he provides a little bit something different on offense that I think could be very beneficial for this team. Because we saw it in the Dodgers series that if you're getting overpowered by pitching, the whole like small ball rally type offense that got you 97 wins, it's it's harder to win like that in the postseason when you can't have the big play. You know, like if you can't get guys on base, then slapping the ball around and, you know, putting up a crooked number because you get four singles and a walk, it's not going to happen. Like you can't have that kind of sustained success against a Yamamoto or a Snell very often. So getting a guy who can come up and hit like seventh in the order, you know, maybe Vaughn draws a walk and then Jett Williams can put one over the fence. That's 2 runs. We'll see. You know, it's very wishful thinking because, you know, prospects are lottery tickets, but Williams is definitely very interesting and could be like a very fun addition to the lineup. Like I think he could play a very interesting role on the team, especially if things like fully click. The guy who's going to make a more immediate impact is Brandon Sproat. Sproat just made it onto the pipeline, the top 100. He's number 100 on the list. But he's a really interesting guy because he throws a lot of different pitches, but also doesn't. And that sounds weird and counterintuitive, but like he's got two different fastballs, two different sliders, and his changeup is basically just a slower sinker with, you know, and I guess that's, you know, what is a changeup that's not just like a slower fastball that drops, but like it has a very similar movement profile to a sinker. It just happens to be a little bit slower and break a tiny bit more. It's like, you know, it's just like taking a tick off the sinker, but Sproat is very projectable, if we put it that way. He's like 6'3", 215. He was a second round pick in 2023, but he's already 25. He's 25 years old. He got a little bit of big league action last year, pitched to a 4.79 ERA over 4 starts, only 20 innings. So, you know, there's only so much you can glean from that little of a sample. Like 20 innings is, you know, that's nothing as far as like building a profile for how your game is going to translate to the big leagues. He was mostly just all right in AAA last year. He had a 4.24 in 25 starts, over 120 innings. Only allowed an average. Opponent average was only 218, but 9 homers, 53 walks in 121 innings. It's the control is definitely going to be something to pay attention to. He's a guy that kind of, you know, honestly, he's kind of got a Freddy Peralta-esque build to him where, like, he'll strike guys out. He will walk a couple guys. He might not go that deep into games because he's going to have, like, high pitch count at bats. But the ceiling is definitely there. Like, he throws hard. He throws mid to upper 90s, sits there with his fastball. He has a sweeper and a slider, like a, you know, he's got the two different looks. The sweeper was really good. The sweeper looked sharp. It had some crazy movement, like very horizontal break on the sweeper that looked like a very legitimate like whiff pitch and out pitch in the major leagues. Sorry, I'm trying to read his scouting report for some reason while talking, and it's very difficult to do. But he's a guy that will like 100% will slot into the rotation opening day, and they're gonna give him a chance to go out there and let it eat. This is kind of a DL Hall situation, as far as like what the Brewers are looking to get out of it in the short term. Like he's a guy who's already debuted. He was slated to make the Mets opening day roster. He's slated to make the Brewers opening day roster. You want to say, like, provided he's healthy, worst case scenario, you're getting a Tobias Myers replacement for 2026, like a guy who can come in, pitch some long relief, sort of like what we saw DL Hall do last year after he came back healthy. But he's a guy that, like, could very well be your 3 starter come the postseason. You know, if Woodruff's healthy, if Miz is who Miz could be this year, you know, there's a real chance that, like, between Priester, Sproat, Logan Henderson, Chad Patrick, like that whole group of guys, that like Sproat, you know, kind of sets himself a little bit above those guys. We'll see. I mean, the changeup sits around 90 miles an hour. He's also got a curveball that he uses against lefties, and he's got like a slider that gets up into like around the 90-mile-per-hour range if he's not using the sweeper. So like a faster sweeper that breaks a little bit more down. Like the sweeper is going to be slower and be more like a frisbee, goes more across the zone, whereas the slider is more like across and down. The slider breaks more like this, and it's a bit faster, a bit sharper. The curveball is going to go more down. He only used it against lefties. It's not a righty pitch, I think, at least not yet. But the sinker and the four-seam fastball, like, have both touched triple digits. Like he's able to kind of ramp things up and really gas some guys. So we'll see. I mean, for as hard as he throws, how good the stuff is, the results haven't always been there. Like, you know, he's walked enough guys and given up enough like hard contact that the ERA numbers haven't always been there. But he'll strike guys out, and he's going to throw hard. And that's a very projectable type pitcher, especially when you get him into a system like the Brewers. Like, the Brewers have turned, you know, Quinn Priester, who was a failed prospect for how many years, they turned him into a, like, very solid, dependable starter last year. Brandon Woodruff, Corbin Burns, those are developmental success stories. Freddy Peralta is a developmental success story. Chad Patrick, Logan Henderson, like, they've turned guys into quality arms many times, and they've turned guys with a lot less raw stuff and raw talent into very effective pitchers. So there's definitely hope that a guy like Sproat, who, like, on paper has the stuff to make him as good as anybody else, like, maybe tinker with his mechanics a little bit, you find a way to up his control, and, you know, he turns into like a real stud, and you've got him for 6 years. So yeah, we'll see. It's, again, Peralta was going to be good this year. Like, if Freddy Peralta was on your team, if he's healthy, he was going to be good. He was going to pitch to a solid ERA. He was going to give you good innings, and he was going to be solid in the postseason. Like, that, we know that. We know who Freddy Peralta is. Sproat could be good. Williams could be good. Do I think one of them will be good? Yes. I think between the two of them, one of them's going to hit. They could both hit. Like, these are guys who are very toolsy, and, like, when given a little bit of the Brewers sprinkle, like, could hit it out of the park. And at the end of the day, 1 year of Peralta for 12 years of Sproat and Williams, you know, the value's definitely there. It's just tough to watch your team win the most games in the regular season last year, sweep the Dodgers in the regular season. That, you know, it wasn't the fully healthy, ramped up Dodgers that we saw in the postseason, but the Brewers were 6-0 against the Dodgers in the regular season last year, and then they got their buttholes spit in the postseason. Sorry. Like, just, the Dodgers had their way with the Brewers, and instead of retooling, going out there and, hey, Bo Bichette, Kyle Tucker, the Kyle Tucker figure is a bit insane, but, like, these guys are signing short-term deals. Yes, $42 million for 1 year of Bo Bichette is crazy. That's a lot of money, and the Brewers are never going to pay it. But could they? Could they go out and sign some of these guys to these short-term opt-out deals after they sit on the market and like make a run? They could. Like that's they, instead of retooling, they shipped off their most dependable pitcher. The only guy in their rotation that you look at and you're like, I know what I'm getting out of him this year. Like, I know what Freddy Peralta is going to be this year. We don't know what Woodruff's going to be. We don't know what Mizorowski's going to be. We certainly don't know what Sproat's going to be. Is Patrick a starter? Is he a reliever? I don't know. Is Logan Henderson going to make the roster? I don't know. Like, there's so many questions, and the one guy that was dependable is now pitching for the New York Mets, who could be a contender. Who knows? The Mets are the Mets. But, like, as frustrating as it is, I do think that they hit on the trade package. I think that waiting for Ranger Suarez to sign was smart. Because, Framber's got a lot of baggage that I don't think there's many teams out there who are, like, relying on Framber Valdez to be their big offseason addition. So the starting pitching market, at least as far as, like, high-end, like, all-star upside type starting pitchers, is pretty dry right now. Skubal's probably not getting moved, and if he is, it's not anytime soon. So they did a good job being patient, getting a good package, and we'll see. Best of luck to Williams and Sproat. I would love to come back and do a postseason preview this year and talk about how Jett Williams put up 4 WAR in just 120 games, and looks like he's going to be the starting shortstop of the future. And the Brewers signed him to an extension. Brandon Sproat ended the year with a 2.4 ERA in his final 12 starts, and he's hot. Like, I would love to say that, and maybe it'll happen. We'll see. That's about all I have to say. Sorry Tobias Myers didn't get a lot of chat today. Thank you so much for what you did in 2024. And thanks for that one start in the postseason against the Mets, who you now pitch for. But I will never forget you, Tobias Myers. You will always be a legend in my head. And best of luck to you. Best of luck to Freddy Peralta. Thank you for your great years of service. And look forward to seeing what these guys can do. So that's about all I've got. Go Crew!